We now bring in Brandon McKinnie and Richard Gray, authors of the new book, Slave to the Game, about college basketball. Hey, guys, welcome into the Odd Couple.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Appreciate it. We want to know, I want you to tell me about your book, and especially with the way things are going now, you're seeing kids who are deciding to go to the G League situation rather than go to college, play college basketball somewhere for a year or whatnot. Tell us what this book is all about.
Man, exactly what's going on. This is Brandon McKinnie talking. It's exactly what's going on today. These kids knowing their power and their worth, and that's what the book is about, knowing your power and your worth and how you can change the landscape of any business, any company, any infrastructure. And the book is told. We're telling the story through the story of sport about the nation's top athlete going to an HBCU, something that's never been done.
Richard, how did you guys get together first, and how did this all come to be? Was there a conversation, or was it just a mutual interest in deciding you wanted to join in on the venture, both of you guys?
Oh yeah, so Brandon and I, this is Richard. Brandon and I go back to college. We were college roommates. Former Division I athletes, back in 2002, 2003. And, from there, man, we've had a lifelong friendship. He's like a brother to me. I've continued to work in sports as an agent, with NBA organizations and things of that nature. And and then just through there, just, the conversations that we've had over the years about these guys coming out, utilizing that power and going in whatever direction that they choose in the landscape of these industries following. And so from there, Brandon started the book. I'd been along as like a consultant, for lack of better words. And then just during a period of time, I ended up, started the process of penning aspects of it. And then the whole thing came together and it just flowed out naturally.
I've always said that athletes have power, but you have to be willing to sacrifice and do, in order to sometimes get there. And because scouts go to where the players are. I think a lot of kids have been brainwashed to believe in that you got to go to Duke, you got to go to Kentucky, and you got to go to places like that. And I don't believe that. I think if scouts, if they say there's a great player playing at Howard University and I want to see this kid and he's this and he's that, the scouts will go there and scout you. I mean,
the scouts are going.
Am I right? I mean, this is the biggest thing. And why? I don't know. I guess the kids just got bought into it, that you have to play at a big school to be recognized, or you want to be on TV or with the games and the other stuff. But somehow I think we've lost our way. And do you think that maybe this is finally going to change, and maybe they realize that they don't have to go to those schools anymore?
Absolutely. I mean, what you're starting to see, just even with, the process that just happened with Jalen Green, this is, another example of it. It may not be applied to him going to an HBCU, but at one point his only options were to either go to college at a major university or go play overseas. And what he did in one decision is he pretty much forced the NBA's hand to kind of raise the pay, which has a domino effect. Then kind of propelled the G League as the the second best league in the world. So I'll let Brandon explain from a college basketball aspect, but it's literally the same thing, just applied it another way.
Yeah, just like piggybacking off Rick. LaMelo Ball, they really the ones that changed the dynamics. LaMelo Ball and R.J. Hampton. By them going over to Australia, they forced the NBA to change the game in their way. So now they up the ante with the payment for the G League, and Jalen Green follows suit. Like, man, I don't have to go to Australia. I can just go to the NBA, stay in the United States, make $500,000. And still have the opportunity to be a top draft pick without going to college.
It's the Odd Couple on Fox Sports Radio. Our guests, authors Brandon McKinnie and Richard Gray. Their new book, Slave to the Game. Jonas, you want to jump in?
Yeah, and I was just wondering, and Brandon, and one at a time, if you guys can both speak on this. You both mentioned that obviously going and being an athlete in college and what that experience is like. So, in a perfect world, if you could make a change in college, if you could do something to the NCAA that would make the college experience that much better and more rewarding for players, what would you guys invoke to try and help make the NCAA a better place for these athletes?
Well, I'll start with that. I mean, you're actually seeing it. You're seeing, discussions of, universities allowing it's a state legislation where you're seeing, institutions allow, considering players utilizing their intellectual property for marketing purposes. Like you saw I think it was the University of Alabama, this past season, they helped these guys, craft up their social medias in a way where they're able to, generate revenues off of it. And although it's not in place yet, what they're doing right now is they're setting those guys up for the future because they see what's coming. So I think that's one step personally.
Yeah, I think we need to set up a trust. They definitely need some money put in their pockets because these kids are making these universities so much money. Right now, because of the COVID virus, the NCAA is losing so much money, and it's only showing what these kids' worth is. So if you don't want to outright give them money, right then and there, set up a trust or something for when these kids graduate, after all the work they put in for you, you're using their name, and some of them don't make it to professional level. They need to have something set up where, they can be all right coming out of college.
Yep. You just got to be creative. Like I know most people will probably respond and say, well, all of NCAA Division I schools don't generate the type of revenues that basketball and football does. But these programs still find a way to fund all of the other sports anyway, so that same creativity can be applied to figuring out a way to compensate these guys, properly and fairly.
No, that's a great point, and there is so much money to be made, and it's just about, that's why, when some players, I remember at Northwestern, tried to get a union, because, see, when you're not represented by somebody, it's hard to be an individual stepping out on your own. And I think that's why they've been able to take advantage of the kids. When the coaches get rich, especially, you see all the money they make. They get the big sneaker deals, and they don't even wear sneakers during the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the players, those are the things that just drive you crazy. But sounds like a really good book that I want to pick up. Jonas, you got anything left?
Yeah, I mean, I just, to the people that may push back, and you've probably heard this, you probably see it on Twitter, because I don't know if you guys knew this or not, Twitter can be kind of a toxic place sometimes.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah, believe it or not. But to the people that push back and say, yeah, but what about these $100,000 free educations that you guys are getting, or $250,000 free educations that you're getting? Why should you get more on top of that? What is your response?
Well, I'll go first with that. I mean, it starts with equal. It starts with equal bargaining. You can say that, one person is providing consideration, for something that someone else is, does, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's fair. And so it's not always getting what's fair. It's what you have the power to negotiate, the leverage. And now that these guys have that type of leverage, they can look beyond the conversation about, the $100,000 education.
Yeah, $100,000 can't be the end-all to be-all because, again, it's not putting money in no one's pocket. Going to college doesn't guarantee you a $100,000 job or a job, if that. So this is when you're a student-athlete, you are – they say you're a student first and then an athlete second. But we all know the time we're putting in the gym and putting in the weight room and film study is more like a job, and it's more like you're an athlete student. So they can miss me with the free education or the $100,000 education. It's not adding up.
No doubt about it, especially when you sign a $6 billion TV deal with CBS for March Madness. All right, so the book is called Slave to the Game. Where can people pick it up?
Slave to the Game, you can pick it up on Amazon.com. Right now it's available in paperback and ebook. It's also available on our website, 1140productions.com, where you also can purchase merchandise. But the book was created because we wrote the script for it at first. And the book was created to push the agenda on the idea of a movie. And that's what we're trying to do.
All right.
So, awesome.
Thank
Good luck,
you, guys. We appreciate it. Brandon McKinnie and Richard Gray here on The Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. Very interesting stuff. Sounds like a good read. A Pro Bowl running back.